Air travel's supposed to be boring. The biggest drama should be whether you get pretzels or end up with sad peanuts. For decades, it's been that safe. A 2024 MIT study even said flying keeps getting about twice as safe every decade. But 2025 started with a jolt. In just days, a string of crashes and mishaps killed 78 people and injured many more. Now travelers are uneasy, and experts are asking if it's just bad luck or a warning light blinking in the skies. A troubling start to the year. The year began with an accident so shocking that it dominated national headlines. On January 29th, over the Potomac River near Washington, D.C., an American Airlines Bombardier CRJ-700 collided mid-air with a U.S. Army Sikorsky UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter. The impact occurred at about 325 feet, well above the 200-foot altitude limit for helicopters in that airspace. All 67 people aboard the two aircraft were killed instantly. Investigators are now piecing together radar data, cockpit voice recordings, and air traffic control communications to understand what went wrong. The early theories suggest confusion about flight paths and communication errors, a sobering reminder that even with modern technology, human and procedural breakdowns can still have devastating consequences. Barely a week later, Seattle-Tacoma International Airport made news when a Japan Airlines jet clipped the tail of a parked Delta plane while taxiing in low visibility. Thankfully, no one was injured, but both aircraft were damaged, and passengers were quickly moved to alternative flights. Safety experts say ground collisions are preventable through precise communication and strict adherence to runway protocols. The Seattle incident served as a reminder that aviation safety isn't only about what happens at 30,000 feet. It begins the moment an aircraft starts moving. The very next day, tragedy struck in Alaska when a Cessna Caravan commuter plane operated by Bering Air disappeared from radar during a routine flight. By the time the Coast Guard reached the last known coordinates, they found wreckage scattered across the icy Bering Sea. All 10 people on board were lost. Flying in Alaska is notoriously challenging because of harsh weather and remote terrain, but the crash, the third major U.S. aviation disaster in barely over a week, rattled confidence in the nation's safety record. February 10th brought another grim headline when a private jet connected to Mötley Crue's Vince Neil crashed while attempting to land at Scottsdale Municipal Airport. The jet veered off the runway, slammed into a parked Gulfstream, and burst into flames. The pilot was killed, and 3 passengers, including Neil's girlfriend Rain Hanna, were injured and rushed to the hospital. Early reports suggest the plane may have come in too fast or at the wrong angle, though mechanical problems or runway conditions could also be involved. The NTSB is now investigating. Just 2 days later, on February 12th, an EA-18G Growler fighter jet crashed into San Diego Bay while attempting to land at Naval Air Station North Island. Both Navy pilots ejected in time and survived with non-life-threatening injuries. Mechanical issues are suspected, but the investigation remains ongoing. Footage captured by residents showed the jet plunging nose-first into the water, a terrifying sight even though lives were spared. The streak of bad news continued on February 17th, when a Delta Airlines flight arriving in Toronto flipped upside down on a snow-covered runway during gusty winds and heavy snow. 8 passengers were injured, one of them critically but later reported as stable. Social media was flooded with images of the overturned aircraft surrounded by emergency crews. The Transportation Safety Board of Canada has opened a full investigation to determine whether weather, pilot decisions, or equipment played the defining role. Is it just bad luck or something bigger? Aviation safety experts caution against assuming that a few clustered accidents mean air travel has become unsafe. Commercial flying remains statistically one of the safest ways to travel. Between 2018 and 2022, the odds of dying on a commercial flight were about 1 in 13.4 million, compared to 1 in 350,000 in the 1970s. Those numbers are staggering and reassuring, until a string of highly publicized tragedies shakes public trust. Yet when 3 fatal crashes kill 78 people in less than 3 weeks, it is difficult not to wonder if something deeper is at play. Sometimes accident clusters are simply a cruel coincidence. Other times they expose vulnerabilities that have quietly developed over years. Safety doesn't improve by luck alone. It improves through constant oversight, technology upgrades, and a culture that refuses to cut corners. The hidden weak spots in aviation safety. Most plane crashes are not the result of one dramatic mistake, but a chain of small failures linking together until disaster becomes inevitable. Experts often point to recurring factors that, if ignored, can turn routine flights into headlines. One major concern is corporate safety culture. Airlines and charter operators set the tone for how strictly safety rules are followed. If management pushes crews to save time or money, corners can get cut, from rushed pilot training to maintenance shortcuts. A profit-first mindset might keep schedules tight, but can leave little room for caution when weather, mechanical issues, or human factors complicate a flight. Mechanical and structural failures are another enduring risk. Airplanes are technological marvels, but they are still massive machines with countless moving parts that require relentless inspection. Worn-out components, skipped maintenance steps, or flawed manufacturing processes can lead to catastrophic mid-air breakdowns. Sometimes, a part worth a few $100s can fail and cause losses beyond measure. Training gaps also loom large. While the term pilot error is often used in headlines, it usually oversimplifies the issue. Mistakes in the cockpit can stem from inadequate training, fatigue caused by overworked schedules, or corporate pressure to push through challenging conditions. When budgets shrink and training is deprioritized, the ripple effects can be deadly. And of course, weather remains a formidable opponent. Snow, fog, storms, and strong winds have long challenged pilots and equipment. These conditions cannot be controlled, but they can be planned for and mitigated with better forecasting, cautious scheduling, and aircraft readiness. When airlines underestimate or downplay weather threats, risk escalates quickly. How investigations bring answers. After a crash, the investigation is slow but meticulous. In the US, the NTSB leads the work with the FAA and other agencies. Teams recover the nearly indestructible black boxes, which capture flight data and cockpit conversations, then study wreckage, air traffic control records, and witness accounts. Final reports can take months or years, but usually give the clearest picture of what happened. The challenge: turning findings into fixes. Safety recommendations often stall, especially when they're costly, leaving some known risks unresolved long after an accident's cause is clear. The legal fight for accountability. For grieving families and injured survivors, investigations bring answers, but not always justice. That's where lawsuits step in. Though complex, aviation cases expose hidden negligence and drive safety reforms. Airlines and charter companies can be liable for poor training, skipped maintenance, or safety violations. Manufacturers face claims for design flaws or faulty parts. Even air traffic controllers and their agencies come under scrutiny when miscommunication or routing errors contribute to tragedy. These battles require deep aviation expertise, but they remain one of the few ways to hold powerful industry players to account. Lessons we cannot ignore. Early 2025's crashes share hard truths. The Potomac collision shows we need better airspace management and stricter altitude rules near busy cities. Alaska's Cessna tragedy proves harsh weather demands extreme prep and reliable forecasts. The Scottsdale jet crash shows how one landing error or mechanical flaw can be fatal. And the Delta crash in Toronto reminds us winter flying needs top-tier training and sometimes the courage to divert. Each crash is different, but together they show safety as a chain. Pilots, mechanics, controllers, engineers, and regulators must all hold their link, because one weak point can bring disaster. Should passengers be afraid to fly? The short answer is no, at least not more than usual. Air travel remains extraordinarily safe compared to driving, cycling, or even walking in busy cities. Statistically, stepping into a rideshare on the way to the airport is riskier than the flight itself. But these recent tragedies are a sobering reminder that safety is not automatic. It requires ongoing vigilance from regulators, manufacturers, and airlines alike. Passengers can take comfort in the fact that every accident sparks intense scrutiny, and aviation historically responds to lessons learned. Still, those lessons only matter if the industry commits to acting on them instead of letting cost concerns win the day. Keeping the skies safe. The early 2025 crash surge is a warning. Safety can't be taken for granted. Aviation needs constant upgrades, better pilot training, stricter maintenance, smarter weather planning, and honest investigations. Regulators must enforce rules, and airlines must see safety as investment, not expense. Flying should be uneventful, the kind where your biggest worry is ginger ale or tomato juice. To honor the 78 lives lost, the industry must face its weak spots and act now, turning 2025 into a recommitment to safety, not the start of decline. If you found this video helpful, or at least a little more reassuring about getting on your next flight, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. Safe travels, and I'll see you in the next video.